He's America's accountant. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Geltrude, Nutley, New Jersey. Dan, thanks for being on. 40 people that make six figures, or 44% of them say they're one unexpected bill away from a financial meltdown. Wow. What's going on out there, Dan?
Well, I think there's a few things to look at here, Scott. The first thing that you need to consider is geography. So from where I am, I'm basically in the New York City metropolitan area, where the prices of everything, the cost of living is absolutely out of control. So to me, six figures, yeah, that used to mean success for a long time. Now those people are just the victims of government's economic mismanagement. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I blame the government for this. Because to me, the American economy is being treated like a social experiment, right? And families are getting crushed. So if you think about it, if people or families that are making $100,000, which again, we think about, oh, that's a lot of money. If they're broke, well, Scott, that's not a soft landing. That's a face plant. And I think that's just the reality in terms of inflation and quite frankly, Washington, D.C.'s mismanagement of the economy has caused this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm jumping all over what you had to say there because I totally agree with you because, look, going into, say, COVID and in an effort to stem the tide of economy that the government decided to shut down, which they never should have shut down in the first place, but they did. So there's a long, whatever. They spent, they poured roughly, depending on what whom you speak to or what you read, upwards of say $10 trillion into the economy. Some have it at 7 or 8, some have it at 9 or 10, but still, let's go the high. That's the reason why we got 9.1% inflation in April or in 2022, right? And to your point, inflation really is a three-letter word, and that's a tax. And that's a tax on a lot of Americans. And the 80% of those folks that did not have a big stock portfolio to see their stock prices rally over the last 5 years, they're hurting. And obviously, if they didn't own any real estate, they didn't enjoy any part of that $10 trillion being pumped into, that fiat money being pumped into the economy. And all they did was have to go to their grocery store and spend 25 to 35% more every time they filled up their cart. That is the bottom line. It's been one massive tax on America, and people don't realize that, yeah, you could get a little bit of a bump in your pay, but you're behind the eight ball all the time. And that's the problem. I totally agree with you, and that's why 100 grand doesn't feel like 100 grand used to.
Right, and think about this, because there are people out there that aren't making $100,000 and they're saying, oh, what are they crying about? But the truth of the matter is that if people making $100,000 are hurting, what happens to everybody else that's below that? They're really getting crushed. Look, the American dream is being taxed, regulated, and inflated to death. That's the truth of the matter here. So that's why I'm saying inflation has really been the enemy of the people more than anybody realizes, because it's not something that per se you see on a tax return. It's just built into absolutely everything. Now, the other side of this is, right, people are still spending. So you could make the argument to say, well, these people that are making $100,000, well, they're still spending away. Yeah, they are. But we already talked about this, Scott. What about the levels of personal debt? At record levels, right? Higher than it's ever been, over $1 trillion and growing. And then when you tack on to where interest rates have been, Scott, that debt has gotten extraordinarily expensive. It's a hole that's almost impossible to dig out of.
Yeah, yeah. And then when this problem rears its ugly head, and it will, whether we take care of it on our own or the market makes us take care of it, that's called austerity. And those austerity measures, you've seen them have to be implemented in other, say, European countries over the last 10 or 15 years. If we can get ourselves out of it, it doesn't hurt as much as if the market makes us, number one. Number two, though, is that This is the issue. In August, we went through $37 trillion in our national debt. In October, we went through $38 trillion. Does that alarm anybody except for me? I mean, we're definitely going to be through $41 trillion by the end of next year for sure if we don't do anything, which it doesn't look like we're going to. And that's when you start to see that problem become such a big problem that there's no turning back. And that's when you're going to have those austerity measures. So I almost feel like the government is in parallel with some of the consumers out there. We call it doom loop spending. It's like, well, we can't do anything about it now. We might as well go down with a ship and have a good time. What say you?
Well, it certainly seems that's the way they're going, right? Because the number is so large, you're never going to be able to pay it back. It's like someone out there who's got credit cards and says, hey, let me run it up. Let me have a good time here. I'm never going to pay it back. But when you're talking about, the United States, when we get to that point, now you're going to have a worldwide financial meltdown. And again, you and I have talked about this. At what point does that happen? Again, it didn't happen at 20 trillion, 30. Is it going to happen at 40, 50, 100? I don't know what that number is, but at some point, Scott, it's going to hit. And if we just bring that down to the everyday people that are just trying to, just live out life, how do people afford a house, pay for college, and be able to put anything away for retirement when they're building up more and more credit card debt? So to me, there's going to be a giant bubble, financial meltdown that's going to hit both for American families and for the U.S. government. We just don't know when.
That's right. It's the day of reckoning. And if you knew that date, boy, oh boy, you'd probably be shaking in your boots right now, I'm sure. All right. Always great to have you on. Great to have you talk about. You're America's accountant. You know the numbers, and you're right. I mean, this is going to be a problem. Either we wake up and take care of it ourselves, or somebody's going to take care of it for us. And if they do that, then it's going to hurt a lot more. I agree 100% with you, Dan. Thanks for coming on. Happy Monday to you. Dan Geltrude coming to us from Nutley, New Jersey. Let's take a look at some of these equity markets.